बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण So today we'll be discussing on the topic from the nectar of devotion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Samukam karoti vachalam pangulangayate girim metripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Hare Krishna. So today the topic for discussion is the nectar of devotion. So we have since last 2 days we were discussing on this topic. So the characteristics of pure devotional service, beginning with Kleshagni, Shubhada, Moksha Lagukrit, so and Sandrananta Visheshatma, Sudurlabha, and Sri Krishna Akarshini. So today we will be discussing on the topic of Sudurlabha, the rarity of devotional service. So how the devotional service is very, very rare. Hare Krishna. So devotees can see the screen.
Yes, bro.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So today we will be discussing on the topic of the rarity of devotional service. It's called as Sudurlabha. So how devotional service is very, very rare. So let's discuss on this topic today with the mercy of Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled Vaishnavas. So I would request your prayers so that we can present this, I can present this topic for the understanding of the devotees and for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So the topic of discussion today, as we have already stated, is Sudurlabha. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada has very mercifully, on the order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he has been empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as discussed yesterday, to present this topic called the Nectar of Devotion, which is technically called as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the nectarian ocean of devotional service, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So today, amongst the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service, the topic we are discussing is called as the rarity of devotional service. So before we understand the rarity of devotional service, we have to understand how rare it is to achieve this human form of life. So after the Jiva passes through 8,400,000 species of life, so very rarely we get the opportunity of this human form of life. So this first, before understanding the rarity of devotional service, let us understand the rarity of attaining this human form of life. This human form of life is very, very rare. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that Kaumara Macharate Pragno Dharmam Bhagavata Niha Durlabha Manusha Janme Tadapi Adrava Martada. So Durlabha Manushi Janme, he is saying that this human form of life is very, very rare. Therefore, from the very beginning of our lives, so we have to take to the process of devotional service with all seriousness. Therefore, Kaumara Macharate Pragno. So people may think that so we have sufficient time in life to take to the process of devotional service. But taking to the version of the Acharyas from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that Prahlad Maharaj is saying that devotional service should begin at the age of 5. So we have to understand the importance and the seriousness of devotional service and not misutilize this human form of life. So like the miscreants who use it for the sake of sense gratification. So the rarity of devotional service has to be understood. So from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and as stated by the Acharyas in the Guru Parampara, like Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, and the Shet Goswamis of Vrindavan. So here, beginning with this chapter, so a comparative study has been made on the various aspects of spiritual life. So to understand the glory of devotional service, to understand the rarity of devotional service. So to understand this better, so let us get into this discussion on the first chapter, 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where a detailed discussion is happening between Parishit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami as to the different aspects of devotional service, and how by making a comparative study, Shukadeva Goswami is presenting the rarity of this devotional service. So to begin with, so uh, why this topic came into conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parishit Maharaj. So Parishit a detailed description of the hellish planets was given in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srila and Parishit Maharaj, after understanding how the living entity has to undergo so much suffering in all these hellish planets, so he is posing a question for the welfare of all the living entities as to how can avoid this sinful life and entering into hellish planets. So the description of hellish planets is given in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So according to the description, there are 28,000 different kinds of hells which are mentioned in the scriptures. And according to the Vedic version, so the hellish planets are situated next to the Patala Loka, so which is 80,000 miles away from Patala Loka, so which is called as the Naraka, the planet of the hell. So and 28,000 different kinds of hells are explained. So only the prominent among them are described in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the rest of the descriptions are given in the other scriptures like Garuda Purana. So Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, as a compassionate devotee, is naturally taking compassion on all the living entities and requesting Shukadeva Goswami to present a way out for this conditioned living entities who are addicted to sense gratification, and get out of this hellish planets, getting them out of this hellish situation. So here Prahlad Maharaj says that I have no personal problems, for I have learned the art of chanting your glories and getting out of this material entanglement and getting out of this material world. But what I'm worried about is about the mood chetasa, people who are addicted to sense gratification and do not understand the purpose and goal of life. So I'm worried about them. So the pure devotees of the Lord, they are not worried about their liberation, or they are not worried about their comforts, or they are not worried about their devotional service to the Supreme Lord, because they have learned the art of performing devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Parikshit Maharaj also is in the same category, and he is requesting Shukadeva Goswami, and he is saying that so what about the condition of the people of this world? Please suggest a way as to how they can come out of this hellish situation. So Shukadeva Goswami, in the next slide, he is explaining so that how a jiva who is into this material world, so as it is stated in the 13th chapter, 22nd verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Purusha Prakritistohi Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karana Guna Sangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. The living entity, thus following the ways of life, enjoys the three modes of material nature. This is because of his contact with the material nature and experience and meets good and evil amongst various species of life. So this human form of life is a junction. So anybody wants to take to the path of liberation, they can take to the path of liberation, or if anybody wants to take to the path of sense gratification and enter hellish planets, they can do so. So it is left to the choice of the jiva, so whether he has to choose the path of liberation or whether he has to choose the path of sense gratification. So the path of liberation is now systematically explained by Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami is now explaining this, that if one has to get out of this hellish life, not entering the hellish planets, then he has to take to the process of atonement called as prayaschitta. So according to the process of atonement, so one has to if one has to take to the process of atonement, he has to retire from his family life in an early stage of life. So that's the reason in the Varnashrama system. So one has to retire from the family life at the age of 50, so that he has sufficient time to take to the process of atonement. So it is not that can spend the rest of the life so with his family and increase his impious life. So one has to take to the process of atonement at a very early age, so that he has sufficient time to take to the process of atonement. So this process of atonement uh, is recommended by Shukadeva Goswami. So as a means not to enter hellish life. So then uh, there are various processes of prayashita which is recommended in the authorized scriptures like the Manu Samhita, which are known as the Dharma Shastras, which recommend various processes of atonement depending on the kind of sinful activity a person has committed. If he has committed a grave sinful activity, then he has to undergo a greater atonement. So this process of atonement is like performing a pious activity to counteract a sinful activity. So this kind of prayashita is recommended in the Dharma Shastras such as the Manu Samhita. So then Shukadeva Goswami is recommending, therefore, before one's next life, one has to take to the process of atonement at a very early age. So therefore not enough time, therefore they have sufficient time for the process of atonement. So completely atone for the sinful activities and create a path of auspiciousness for the next life. Because so in the Vedic way of life, everybody knows that the life has to come to an end and they have to take to the next life. And before they take up to the next life, they create an auspicious path. So this is what is recommended. So then Maharaj Parikshit is saying that one may know that sinful, so one may take to the process of atonement. Here Parikshit Maharaj is not getting convinced about the path of atonement. As a pure devotee of the Lord, he knows that this is not the recommended process for a jiva to completely get out of this entanglement. So he knows that a person may take to the path of atonement. So it is just like the process of atonement, then atoning for sinful activities, then again coming back to the cycle of birth, death, old age, and this is not the recommended process. He is convinced in the heart. So he is saying that it is just like a thief. So a thief may be caught by the police. He may be embarrassed by the public, and so he may be sent to the jail, and he may be sufficiently punished even after coming back from the prison house. So he may again commit the same sinful activity. So if such is the case, so then what is the use of this atonement? So therefore, he is conditioned to perform the sinful activity. So how to overcome this propensity to commit sinful activity is the question posed by Parishat Maharaj. So therefore, so Shukadeva Goswami is recommending, so the path of atonement as rejected by Parishat Maharaj. So one may take to the path of atonement. The path of atonement may be to counteract a sinful activity. You can perform a pious activity and get out of that sinful activity. What about the propensity to perform sinful activities? The bija, or the propensity to perform sinful activities, is in the heart of that person. How to clear his heart? How to clear his heart of that propensity is the question posed by Parikshit Maharaj. This is a very valid question. So, which is posed by Parikshit Maharaj. So, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that it is just like an elephant taking a bath. So the elephant enters the river, takes a very good bath, comes out, and again puts mud all over the body. So this process of atonement is something like that, which does not cleanse the heart of a person. So therefore, Shukadeva Goswami is saying that, so the counteracting, the action counteraction. So committing a pious activity for a sinful activity, this is on a fruitive platform. So therefore, it does not purify the heart. So therefore, this path of atonement is rejected by Parikshit Maharaj. So sometimes, though Shukadeva Goswami knows that Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord, so he is still testing Parikshit Maharaj. So whether he has understood the subject matter perfectly. So as to what he is stating. So therefore, here Parikshit Maharaj, so is posing an Parikshit Maharaj has passed the initial test given by Shukadeva Goswami, and now he is asking him to suggest another path, so which is recommended for the living entities. So, therefore, Shukadeva Goswami is referring to the path of Jnana Marga. So according to the path of the Jnanis, so taking to the path of self-realization. So, so in the previous verse, Shukadeva Goswami gave the example of dried leaves of. So here, the path of Jnana Marga, when a devotee takes to the path of Jnana, so he has the knowledge of what is a pious activity, what is a sinful activity. So therefore, taking to the knowledge completely, he completely avoids a sinful activity. So therefore, according to the path which is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, if one has to avoid sinful life, so then he has to take to the path of Karma Yoga. So where everything is performed in cooperation with the Devatas. So the arrangement is made by the Lord that the living entities in this material world so can take help of the demigods and in cooperation with the demigods perform sacrifices, so and get the benefits from the demigods and live a materially satisfied life. So here when people take to the path of when people take to the path of karma yoga, so people may be freed from sinful reactions, so they may lead a pious life, but the propensity to commit sinful activities is always there. One may lead a very pious life, but the propensity to commit sinful activities is always there. As mentioned in one of the verses in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we see that Atakena prayuktoyam papasina purushaha anichamapi vrishneya baladeva niyojitaha. So Arjuna is asking this question to Lord Shri Krishna that though a person may not want to commit the sinful activities, but he is forced to commit a sinful activity. So therefore, Krishna is giving the answer: Kama yesha, Krodha yesha, Rajoguna samudbhavaha, Mahasena mahapapam vidiyena hi varinam. So it is Kama yesha, Krodha yesha. So it is the combination of Kama, so which is the lust, so associated with the mode of passion. So there are two different kinds of lust. Lust which is meant for the procreation of Krishna consciousness children. Krishna is saying that I am that lust. So but whereas this lust which is associated with the mode of passion is the cause of all sinful activities in this material world. It is the root cause of all sinful activities in this material world. Therefore, Arjuna is advised by Krishna. So therefore, from very beginning of your life, so you have to take care of this all-powerful enemy called the lust. So therefore, one may lead a pious life, but the propensity to commit sinful activity is there, and vivasha. Here, Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that a living entity becomes vivasha, means helpless, and gets into the tangle of committing sinful activities. So therefore, Shukadeva Goswami, as a second step, he is suggesting the path of jnana, the path of knowledge. So in the path of knowledge begins from nivritti. So one is the pravritti and second one is the nivritti. The path of sense enjoyment as recommended in the scriptures. By performing the path recommended in the scriptures, one can avoid sinful life. So one can avoid reactions to sinful life, but not sinful life altogether, because the propensity to commit sinful activities is still there. So therefore, taking to the path of nivritti. Nivritti means the path of liberation. Taking to the path of jnana marga. So where a jnani completely understands the trouble given by the senses. He understands that the path of sense enjoyment is troublesome. So he knows that that he has to give up the path of sense enjoyment. So and take to the path of liberation. So in the path of taking to the path of liberation, he understands that he has to give up the results of fruitive activities. So in karma yoga, a person is attached to a person is attached to the results of fruitive activities, but in the path of nivritti, a person is detached from the fruitive activities, but still performs karma. Still, he is attached to work, but because his heart is not still attracted to the path of devotional service. For a person whose attraction is not there for devotional service, he has to continue performing work. He has to continue performing work, and at the same time study the Vedic scriptures and understand, take the process of neti neti and understand what is right, what is wrong, what is pious, what is impious, what action has to be done, what action is not to be done, what action is liberating and what action is binding. So taking to the path of pravritti vimarshanam. So as suggested by Shukadev Goswami, a person who takes to the path of jnana takes to this neti neti process, and finally he comes to the stage of realizing that he is different from this body. So just he completely gives up the anxiety of false ego and embraces his inner consciousness in his perfection on the path of jnana yoga. But this is a very, very difficult path. So especially for the conditioned souls, to take this path is not recommended, as it is suggested by the Supreme Lord in Bhagavad Gita. So this path is a very troublesome path for a devotee, especially for people who do not have any attraction for devotional service. So this path of jnana, which is recommended by Shukadeva Goswami as a second step, was also not convincing to Parikshit Maharaj. So therefore, what was suggested is he is giving the example of the foliage on the ground of the bamboo shoots. So a person who takes to the path of jnana, so by the dint of his austerities, by taking a brahmacharya, by learning under a guru, by learning under a spiritual master, following the vows of brahmacharya, so he may give up sinful life. It is just like burning the dry foliage on the ground. So ground of the creepers which are attached to the bamboo shoots. So, but the roots of the creepers are still there, which means the propensity to commit sinful activities is still there. So the people who take to the path of jnana, they may feel that they are very advanced in knowledge and they have attained the state of liberation. So they may be successful and they may attain the state of liberation also. But it is called as vimuktamanana. Yene aravindaksha vimuktamanana tvayi astabhavir avishuddha buddhaya arohya krichena parampadam tata patanti adaha. So they may feel that they are on a liberated platform, but because they have not taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, the propensity to commit sinful activities is still there, and they again fall down into this material world. So that is what is mentioned here. So therefore, the path of pure devotional service is recommended by Shukadeva Goswami here. So that's the third step to understand the path of devotional service as given by the Acharyas. So let's see. So the topic, so which is the rarity of devotional service, how rare the devotional service is, and the glory of the devotional service, as given by the Acharyas. Now, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayanaha Agama Dhunuvanti Kashyena Vihara Iva Bhaskara. Only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will not revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate the fog by its rays. So only a person who has taken to the path of devotional service can completely weed out the sinful desires in the heart of a person. So therefore, the path recommended by the acharyas and the devotees is taking to the path of devotional service. Now let us understand the path of devotional service as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. So in the Nectar of Devotion, starting with this verse, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam, Anukulyena Krishnanushīlanam Bhaktiruttamam. So Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam. So this is called as the Charama Shloka. So the entire Nectar of Devotion has to be understood from the perspective of this Shloka, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam. So there are two aspects in the Shloka. So one aspect of the shloka is called as the Swarupa Lakshan, and the second aspect is called as the Tatastha Lakshan. The Swarupa Lakshan starts with Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So, and the Tatastha Lakshan starts with Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam. So, first is called as the primary characteristics of first one. Explains the primary characteristics. The second one explains the secondary characteristics of devotional service. So, when devotional service is performed unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it should be Anukulyena. So Anukulyena means the devotional service should be done in a favorable mood and with an intention to please Krishna. So some devotional service, to explain this, two examples are given in the scriptures. So to understand this aspect of Anukulyena, what is Anukulya Bhakti? So the first aspect is the activity performed by the performer may be pleasing to the Lord, but it is not done with an intention to please the Lord. Just like the example of Chanura and Mustika. So when they were fighting with the Lord was enjoying the Virya Rasa. So Yuddha Veera Rasa. So he was enjoying the Yuddha Veera Rasa with the two associates of Kamsa, Chanura and Mustika. So when they were fighting with the Lord, when they were wrestling with the Lord was enjoying this rasa. But did Chanura and Mustika have this intention to please the Lord? So when we take the intention, they did not have the motive to please the Lord. In fact, they had the motive to kill the Lord. So therefore, the activity may be pleasing to the Lord, but it is not done with an intention to please the Lord. So therefore, it is not favorable devotional service, not Anukula Bhakti. So on the other hand, we have the example of Mother Yashoda. So when Krishna came to embrace Mother Yashoda, so Mother Yashoda embraced him and was offering her breast milk. So, and at the same time, she had other household duties to attend. She had kept the milk on the stove, and the milk was about to boil. She just left Krishna behind and went to attend the milk. So Krishna became very angry and displeased with Mother Yashoda. So, so the act of displeasure given by Mother Yashoda to Krishna, should it be considered as unfavorable aspect of devotional service? That has to be questioned. So here, the intention of Mother Yashoda was not to displease Krishna, but at the same time to attend another service which was also meant for Krishna. So here, her intention was not to displease Krishna, but it was meant to please Krishna. So she did not have an unfavorable attitude to displease Krishna, just like Kamsa, Chanura and Mustika. So, but her intention was to attend the service of Krishna, which was again meant for serving Krishna. So therefore, Anukula Bhakti is something which is done not doing an activity that pleases Krishna, but it shall also be done with an intention to please Krishna. So, and the second aspect is Krishna Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So when we take the aspect of Krishna, so Krishna is never alone. Krishna means Krishna, all his Swamsha expansions. So like Ramadi Murti Shukala Nyamena Tishtana Navatara Makarodu Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam from a work Parama Pumanyo Govinda Madi Purusham Tamahamajam. So we have to see the Krishna aspect also. Krishna is never alone. Krishna means Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, qualities, his abode, his devotees. So then his Swamsha expansions like Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, Vamana. So all these different expansions of the Lord are called as the Swamsha expansions of the Lord. So all these things together, and the Vibhinamsha expansions are the living entities. So Krishna means all this constitutes the Krishna aspect in this verse. So then Anushilanam. So how bhakti should be performed? So bhakti should be performed in pursuance with the directions of the previous acharyas, in accordance with the pursuance of the scriptures. So in the Krishna aspect, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedas, the Upanishad, everything is included. So Anushilanam means it should be followed in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So bhakti is not a sentimental aspect. So bhakti has to be done in accordance with and in line with the previous acharyas. These aspects has to be taken very, very carefully. So therefore, these are called as the primary aspects of this shloka. So the entire nectar of devotion is based on these three aspects. Anukulyena, Krishna, Anushilanam. So then there are the secondary aspects. Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavratam. What is Anyabhilashita? So this Anyabhilashita Shunyam is any other desire except for the desire to serve the Supreme Lord is considered as Anyabhilashita Shunyam. So a devotee while performing devotional service should not have any other motive except to serve the Supreme Lord and please the Supreme Lord. So this is Anyabhilashita. And what is this Jnana Karmadi Anavratam? The Rupa Goswami Prabhupada could have mentioned Jnana Karmadi Shunyam. So, but why he is saying Jnana Karmadi Anavratam has to be understood very carefully. So, why he is saying Jnana Karmadi Anavratam? Because the aspects of Jnana and Karma are also very, very important for a devotee in performing devotional service. So, here the study of the Vedic scriptures and the conclusion of the Vedic scriptures, which leads to voidism and impersonalism, are rejected here. So, but whereas the conclusion of the Vedic scriptures, which leads to the conclusion that Krishna has to be understood, as we have seen that Vedesha Sarver Ahameva Vedya Vedantavid Vedakri Devachaham. So Krishna is very clear that what is the purpose and the goal of the Vedas. So is to understand him. So if the conclusion is to understand Krishna, so then it is Krishna Anukula. So then it is favorable devotional service. So then it is that such jnana is recommended, but not the jnana which leads to impersonalism and voidism. So and karma. So karma is also required. The various aspects of devotional service, such as the nitya karma, the niyamatmika karma. So the various kinds of devotional activities. So with our body, mind, and senses engaged in the service of the Lord. So as recommended in the scriptures, so the different kind of vratas we follow, so the different kinds of activities which are done for the pleasure of the Lord, all these activities are recommended. Therefore, the devotee is not interested in activities which leads one to fruitive activities. Just like there may people we have seen in the earlier classes also. People may be expert in reciting Vedic scriptures. People may be expert at the knowledge of Vedic scriptures, but they may be attracted to the flowery languages of the Vedas, which promote fruitive activities such as promotion to heavenly planets. So when such karma is performed, so those activities are not Krishna Anukula. So therefore, such kind of fruitive mentality is rejected here. So therefore, Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam has to be understood in the purview of the recommendations given by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Therefore, the devotees of ISKCON are called as Rupanugas because they follow the mood and also the line of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. So therefore, the followers in ISKCON are called as the Rupanugas. So therefore, understanding this path of pure devotional service from the perspective of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is very, very important. So all this understanding helps us to know how rare is this path of devotional service. So then we have the different kinds of sinful activities which are actually we have discussed. So to broadly classify, so the sinful activities are called as the Pataka, Atipataka, Mahapataka. So, and the sinful activities are called as the Prarabdha and Aprarabdha. So the different kinds of sinful activities, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Kamanam, Patita, Palita, Durnidesha. So a person who is addicted to sense gratification performs any kind of sinful activities addicted to the path of sense gratification. He does not hesitate to perform any kind of sinful activities. Therefore, So the different kinds of sinful activities which are categorized as Atipataka, Mahapataka, and Pataka are mentioned here. So, and the resultant sinful reactions which goes with those sinful activities are also given. And for a person in general, without the knowledge of the scriptures, it's very difficult for him to get out of this entanglement of sinful activities and the resultant sinful reactions. So therefore, so instead of recommending the path of atonement and the path of jnana, so the path of devotional service is recommended, which is a very effective path for which a very effective path recommended by our acharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami path, as we see in the next chapter, next verse, next slide. So there are the Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami path divides this devotional service into two aspects. So one is called as the Santata devotional service, and the second one is called as the Kadachitki. So in the Santata devotional service stage, a devotee can perform continuous and incessant devotional service with faith and love. So, and in Kadachitki devotional service, so he does not have a continuous attraction as found in Santata, but he has intermittent attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotional service. So the first, let's see the category of Santata devotional service, which has two divisions. The first one is service performed with a slight attachment to the Supreme Lord, and the second one is spontaneous devotional service. So in the Santata devotional service, a devotee has spontaneous attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there are two divisions under that. The first division is called as service performed with slight attachment to the Supreme Lord, and the second one is spontaneous devotional service. But in Kadachitki devotional service or the intermittent devotional service, a devotee has got an attraction for the Lord, which is divided again into three categories. Is called as the Ragabhasamaya devotional service, where the devotee is almost attached to the process of devotional service. So then the second one is called as the Ragabhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta. So Ragabhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta means a devotee does not have spontaneous attraction, but he is situated in the constitutional position of devotional service. So, and in the third stage, it is called as the Abhasa Rupa, a slight glimpse of devotional service. So in the Abhasa Rupa, a devotee has a slight attraction for devotional service. A glimpse of devotional services can be seen. This is called as the Abhasa Rupa Bhakti. So there are two divisions according to Jiva Goswami path. One is performed with spontaneous devotion and one is performed with intermittent devotion. So one is the Santata devotional service and one is the Kadachitki. In the Santata, we have two divisions. One is performed with slight attachment for devotional service, and one is performed with spontaneous attachment. And the second one is called as the Kadachitki devotional service, which is divided into three categories: Raga Bhasamaya, Raga Bhasa, Shunya Swarupa Bhava, and the third one is called as the Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti. So a devotee, it is mentioned that, so even if he performs Abhasa Rupa, so even in the intermittent devotional service, so the Kadachitki form of devotional service, even if he has got a slight attraction for devotional service, so where the glimpses of devotional service can be seen. So all the different kinds of sinful activities, as we have discussed earlier, as Atipataka, Mahapataka, and Pataka, all the results of these sinful actions, sinful reactions can at once be extinguished by the fire of devotional service. So we are not talking about the spontaneous devotional service, just by Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti. Just by the glimpses of devotional service, once sinful activities is completely eradicated. So therefore, a devotee need not worry about the process of prayaschitta for the sinful activities which has accumulated not only in this lifetime, not only in the previous lifetimes. So just by the performance of Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti, Rupa Sadhana Bhakti, by a slight attraction to devotional service, so these sinful reactions are completely eradicated. So by the performance Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti, which is compared to the rising of the sun. So why this example is appropriate, we can discuss now. So Kechit Kevalaya Bhakta Vasudeva Parayanaha. So Vasudeva Parayanaha. Nihata Iva Bhaskara. It is mentioned that Nihata Iva Bhaskara means just where the sinful activities are compared to a fog, the rising of the sun, just the rising of the sun at the horizon dissipates the fog. The fog of all the sinful activities are completely eradicated just by the rising of the sun. So therefore, just by the performance of Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti, so once a sinful life is completely eradicated. So not only it is mentioned that Karshena. So what is the meaning of Karshena here? Just a moment. So Agama Dunvanti Karshena. So by the Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti, so Agama Dunvanti Karshena. Karshena means even if one has the desire or the propensity to perform sinful activities, even such sinful propensities are also eradicated by the performance of Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti. So which is not spontaneous. So but still this sinful activities which are categorized as we have seen can be at once eradicated by a slight attachment to the path of devotional service. Therefore, one has to understand the importance or the gravity of performing devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So devotional service to the Supreme Lord is not performed with an intention of eradicating sinful activities. This and one thing devotees should always note. So that devotional service is not performed with an intention to eradicate sinful activities, but to develop love of Krishna. That we'll be seeing in the next slide as to how one can take to the path of devotional service and what is the intention of taking to the path of pure devotional service. So here it is mentioned in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord Krishna is explaining it to Uddhava. My dear Uddhava, devotional service in relationship with me is like a blazing fire that can burn to ashes all the fuel of sinful activities applied to it. How devotional service vanquishes the reaction of sinful life is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Lord Krishna is telling Uddhava that just like an unlimited supply of fuel can be burned to ashes by the fire of devotional service. So the unlimited supply of the fuel of sinful activities supplied to it can at once be eradicated by the performance of devotional service. Therefore, the devotee need not undergo a special activity of performing prayaschitta. So just by the performance Abhasa Purna Sadhana Bhakti, one sinful activities is completely eradicated. So, and one more thing the devotees have to note that anyway I'm performing devotional service, I can perform sinful activities and extinguish the and nullify the sinful activity by performing devotional service. If devotional service is performed with such an intent, it tantamounts to the 7th aparadha in the Nama Aparadas. So committing sinful activities on the strength of devotional service, strength of the holy name of the Lord. So such tendencies should be given up. So devotees should not have such intentions. So then they do not fall into the category of pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is meant only with an exclusive intention of pleasing the Krishna. So, and the devotee should not take to such methods of performing sinful activities and and thinking that he can counteract it by devotional service. This is one of the gravest offenses against the path of devotional service. So therefore, finally, Shukadeva Goswami is bringing him to the actual point of discussion. My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and other methods of atonement I have previously described. So, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. So the path of purification is mentioned here. So that one should take to the path of devotional service under a bona fide spiritual master or the bona fide devotees of the Lord, serve them, and by taking to the path of devotional service, one's sinful life is at once eradicated. So therefore, Mahat Seva Dvaram, as it is mentioned in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavad, Mahat Seva Dvaram Ahor Vimaktase Tamo Dvaram Yositi Sangi Sangam. So that's the reason we say that human form of life is a junction. So where you can take to the path of liberation or take to the path of sinful life and glide down to the hellish planets. So here we have to make the choice whether to serve the Mahatmas or to serve our senses and glide down to the hell. So Mahat Seva Dvaram Mahar Vimukte Tamo Dvaram Yositi Sangi Sangam. So Mahat Seva Dvaram. So therefore serving the pure devotees of the Lord, one's path of liberation becomes clear and open. So and taking to the path of sinful life, the path to hell is wide open. So therefore, taking to the path of devotional service, serving the Mahatmas becomes very, very important. So therefore, Krishna also explains this in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanastu Maham Partha, Daivim Prakriti Mashritaha, Bhajate Ananya Manaso, Gyatva Bhutadam Avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, so are under the protection of the Daivi Prakriti. They are fully engaged in my devotional service because they know that know me as a supreme personality of Godhead, who is original and inexhaustible. So Mahatmanastu Mahapata Daivim Prakriti Ashrita. So the devotees of the Lord, so they are not deluded. They take the shelter of the supreme personality. They are under the Daivi Prakriti. They are under the internal potency of the Lord. So and they know who the supreme personality of Godhead is. He is supremely, so he is infallible and he is virginal and inexhaustible, and therefore they engage in his devotional service. So all the time, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yachantasre Dridavataha Manat Namastanchas Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Pasate. So therefore the pure devotees of the Lord are always engaged in his devotional service. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yachantasre Dridavataha. So these devotees, they are completely dedicated to the service of the Supreme Personality of God, and their sinful life is completely stopped. They're completely eradicated by the process of devotional service. So how we can know that one's sinful life is completely eradicated? So when one performs Dridhavrataha, so one performs unflinching and undeviated devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, his sinful life is completely eradicated. So unless one gives up sinful life, so there is no question of getting attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's the reason how do you know one is a pure devotee? So by the activities of a pure devotee, how he is engaged 24 hours a day in serving the Supreme Lord. So that utsaha or the desire to serve the Lord continuously, spontaneously, so with undivided attention is the path of pure devotional service. So therefore, as we have seen that just by the initial traces of devotional service, one's sinful activities are completely eradicated. So therefore, the path of devotional service is all auspicious. So therefore, it is called as Shubhada, Kleshagni, Shubhada. So a devotee is not interested just in satisfying, in here it is mentioned that the devotee is not interested just eradicating his sinful activities. So he is interested in developing his dormant Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a Santata devotee, under the guidance of a devotee who is attached to the process of devotional service. So therefore, he takes to the process of devotional service, he takes to the path of serving the Mahatmas, he takes to the path of serving the Vaishnavas, not to eradicate his sinful activities, That is a byproduct for a devotee. So it happens automatically without a devotee's endeavor. But that is not the goal of devotional service. So a devotee is engaged in the devotional service, serving the Mahatmas, serving the Vaishnavas, taking to the path of devotional service, to invoke the dormant, to kindle the dormant Krishna consciousness which is in the heart of a devotee. So by serving such pure devotees of the Lord, so even a devotee develops such desires. How one develops a pure desire to serve the Supreme Lord is by serving such pure devotees of the Lord who are interested only in satisfying the senses of the Lord, satisfying the desires of the Lord. So they are called as the Narayana Para devotees. So the Narayana Para devotees are not interested in burning the insignificant insignificant amount of sinful activity, reactions to the sinful activities. They are not interested in all that. So whatever situation is given by the Lord, Narayana Parasarvena Kutaschana Bibyate Swargapi Varaka Narakeshu Apitulyate Darshanam. So they are not interested in the comforts of this material life. They are only concerned in satisfying the Supreme Lord. So therefore they are called as the Narayana Para devotees. So the Narayana Para devotees are not interested in all these pious, impious activities, the resultant reactions, and extinguishing the results of the sinful reactions. So they are interested only in satisfying the Supreme Lord, whatever may be the condition of life a devotee may be put in. So he thinks that Tenu Kampa Susamikshamano Bunjana Evartam Kritam Vipakam. So he says that he feels that even if the devotee is put in a distressed condition, he feels that the Lord is very merciful towards me. So that he is giving me an opportunity to think of him intensely. So that my attraction for the Lord develops and for my material attraction for this material world reduces. And whatever state the Lord may have put me in, that state is a favorable state for executing my devotional service. So therefore, a devotee takes to the path of pure devotional service just for the sake of satisfying the Lord. So how one can develop such attitude towards devotional service? So reversals in one's life is taken as the mercy of the Lord. Usually people want to always find solutions for the temporary problems of life. So when reversals comes to a devotee who is engaged in the service of the Lord, he has no complaints against the Lord. My Lord, I'm doing your devotional service. So I'm engaged in your devotional service. I have given up material attachments. So still, why am I put in a miserable situation like this? Devotee never complains like that. A Narayana Para devotee, whether it is a hellish situation or whether it is a heavenly situation, every situation is taken as an opportunity to serve and satisfy the Lord. So therefore, the whole purpose of taking to the process of devotional service is to develop such attraction for the Lord and such attitude. Prabhupada writes in the purports that such attitude can be developed only who engages in the service of a Krishna's representative, that is the spiritual master. Only by satisfying the spiritual master, one can develop such attitude towards devotional service. So here, further Shukadeva Goswami is saying that Sadrichino hi ayam loke pantakshemo kutho bayam sushilo sadva yatra narayana parayanaha. So the path followed by the pure devotees who are well behaved and fully endowed with best qualification is certainly the most auspicious path in the material world. It is free from fear and it is authorized by scriptures, shastras. So therefore, one has to follow the path of the Mahajanas. Mahajana yeno gata panta sapanta. So therefore, taking to the path of devotional service, therefore taking to the path of Krishna consciousness, so and serving devotees, so who are endowed with all good qualities, is certainly the most auspicious path, and this path is auspicious path in the material world, and it is the path which is recommended by the scriptures also. So therefore, so in this material world, especially in the age of Kali Yuga, so we are all endowed with all these sinful propensities, sinful activities, sinful desires. So what is the only hope for the devotees in the age of Kali Yuga? So is this path of devotional service. Kirata Hunandra, Govinda Pukka Sabira Sumba Yavana Kasadaya, Yene Chapapa Yeda Pasha Yashaya, Shudyanti Tasmai is Prabhavishnave Namaha. So all these different categories of people, Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pukka, Sabira, Sumba, Yavana, Kasadaya, all these different races who are all different aborigines, so different different categories of people who do not even come under the Vedic perspective. So everybody, by taking shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord, they can at once be purified. They say that this sloka is perfectly applicable to Srila Prabhupada, who traveled all around the world 14 times in 11 years to establish the Krishna consciousness movement, and he made the devotees from all these different categories, different races, different categories of people amongst the 400,000 species of the human form of life. So everybody, Srila Prabhupada has distributed the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and given this opportunity to everybody to perform pure devotional service. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, today we are practicing Krishna consciousness. So, and we have to practice Krishna consciousness as recommended in the way given by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, all our predecessor acharyas, and we should carry the same mode. And we should not perform spiritual activity, we should not perform devotional service with an intent to extinguish our sinful activities, but to take to the path of pure devotional service, which is very, very rarely achieved. As the scriptural injunction goes, that Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasada Paye Bhaktilata Bij. So Kono Bhagyavanji, so very, very rarely it can be attained. So therefore, we are all very fortunate to be connected to this Krishna consciousness movement, to the path of devotional service. So we have to take this path very, very seriously. So if we don't take advantage of this great opportunity given to us, we don't know how Kali Yuga is going to be a few years from now. So take to the path of devotional service with all seriousness and create auspiciousness, not only for yourself, but also for others. So by following our predecessor acharyas, Hare Krishna, Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So sorry, I have exceeded 3 minutes. So devotees have any doubts, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavats Pranam.
So thank you very much Prabhu for your vivid explanation from Nectar of Devotion. And one question for enlightenment for all of us. Like mostly we are all in a Grihastha ashramam. So how we can make this all pratikula into anukula for devotional service? Kindly enlighten us.
So devotees have to take to the path of devotional service and lead a regulated life as mentioned in the scriptures. So that's one thing. So, and also as Lord Brahma says, Jnana prayasa mudapa namantameva jivanti sammukha haritam bhavadiya varta sthane sthitagatam tanuvan manobir. So yapashitis trayas trilokyam. So Jnane prayasa mudapa. So one need not take to the path of jnana or take to the path of karma. So one can be situated in one's own constitutional position and take to the path of devotional service. So this instruction was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Kurma Brahmana. So the Kurma Brahmana, he wanted to give up his family life and follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So and execute devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strictly warned him. So he told him, so you do not follow me, you just go back, stay with your family, chant Hare Krishna and follow the path of devotional service. So, but the Kurma Brahmana still followed, but this time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very stern and he told him, so a practitioner of Krishna consciousness cannot give up his household responsibilities. So he has to he has to be situated in his constitutional position and perform devotional service. That is the path which is recommended for his own purification. So you can stay in the Grihastha ashrama. So if he is able to convince his family members to follow the path of devotional service, if the Grihasthas, they can follow these 4 processes. So first is chanting, all the family members chanting together, reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam together, performing deity worship together, and performing kirtan together. If these 4 activities are performed in the family life, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that one need not even take up the renounced order of life. So if the situation is favorable for him to perform all these 4 activities in Grihastha ashrama, so he can very well do this and be properly situated. So, and at the end of his life, he will be able to remember Krishna. Antya kale chamam eva smaran mukta kalevaram saprayatiyamad bhavam yatinati atra samshayaha. So surely he can remember Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. But this situation should be very conducive for performing devotional service. So especially for Grihasthas, we have to ensure that we are doing deity worship, we are chanting the holy names of the Lord, we are reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and performing kirtan at our houses every day. So then the Vaikuntha environment is created at home. Masrapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Santosh.
Prabhuji, as it said, to get purified ourselves, we should take the shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord and association of them, right, Prabhu? In that case, we may do some offenses to the pure devotees of the Lord. How can we overcome that, Prabhuji?
So, first and foremost is, association of the devotees cannot be given up at any stage of life. So, because the association of the devotees is as good as the association of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, that the association of the devotees is as good as the association of the Lord. So therefore, the association of the devotees cannot be given up at any stage of your Krishna consciousness, even from the neophyte stage. So to the very advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, we need the association of devotees, we need the guidance of devotees. So only thing is that our attitude towards devotees should change. So therefore, there are various recommendations given in this, given in the Bhakti Shastras. So there are various scriptures, various recommendations given by devotees in our parampara, like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad has written Madhurya Kadambini. So as to what should be the attitude of the devotee when he is in the association of devotees, all these things are given very systematically. So even when we commit offenses at the lotus feet of the devotees, there are certain recommendations as to how we can overcome such offenses. So the first and foremost thing is that once you recognize that you have committed an offense, so we have to very humbly go and beg forgiveness from the devotee. So, and beg forgiveness and pardon from the devotee. So this is one recommendation. And one more thing is that, so even if we are not, even if the devotee forgives you, you should be happy. If the devotee does not forgive you for some reason, still you have to persist in your devotional service, do something which pleases him, and finally get out of that offense. So this is the recommendation of the scriptures. So therefore, in devotional service, so while practicing Krishna consciousness, we should be under the guidance of a devotee so that we can avoid most of such embarrassing situations in the path of performing devotional service. So for this, we can take up another class as to what should be the attitude of a devotee when we are in the association of devotees. Okay, Santoshu, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu. That's it.
Prabhu, just you explained that like that bamboo thing. So outside we can burn it, but inside that roots are still, or the seeds are still there. So so these seeds are very strong, and to come out of that, So definitely, like the devotional service is very, very important. You mentioned, but how do we know, Prabhu? Like said, today all of us have to some percentage these things. Though we do this devotional services, so how do we measure that? And means how do we know that we are coming out of that? And what is the way to come out of this, Prabhu?
So the way which is recommended in the scriptures is that, so as we have seen that the recommendation given by Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is we do Santata devotional service and we do Kadachitki. So in the Kadachitki stage or the intermittent devotional path of devotional service, so the 3 stages of devotional service are recommended. So one is Raga Basamaya, so which is the first stage where the devotee is almost attached to the path of devotional service, almost like spontaneous attraction for devotional services there. In the second stage, Raga Basamaya Shunya Swarupa Bhava. In that stage, a devotee may perform intermittent devotional service, but still he is situated in his constitutional position. The third stage is called as the Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti. So in the Abhasa Rupa stage, one has a slight attraction for devotional service. The attraction is just budding. So even in that budding stage, one has to take to the process of devotional service. So take the shelter of the devotees of the Lord, come to the association of devotees. So because your faith for devotional service enhances only in the association of devotees. So therefore, a devotee has to very carefully guard his devotional creeper, and fence himself surrounded by the devotees of the Lord. So, and already we know that we have 3 levels of devotees. So we have the Kanishta Adhikaris, the Madhyama Adhikaris, and the Uttama Adhikaris. So in the Kanishta stage, we have to be compassionate towards the Kanishta Adhikaris. We have to have a friendly attitude towards the Madhyama Adhikaris. So, and we should serve and take instructions from the Uttama Adhikaris. So here we need to have all classes of devotees. So all these 3 classes of devotees, and our devotional creeper should be protected by the devotees and allow the devotional creepers to grow and take the help of these senior devotees to weed out the anarthas in the heart. So, and allow the devotional creeper to grow. Sometimes when we are in the path of devotional service, sometimes the weeds may appear like the devotional creepers. So, and only under the guidance of senior devotees, we will be able to weed out these unwanted anarthas and give a favorable environment for our Bhakti Lata to grow. So therefore, a devotee should take all precautions so that the devotional service, which is budding now in the, like we are saying that the Abhasa Rupa of Sadhana Bhakti, in the budding stage, so it is carefully guarded by and protected by the devotees. Narasimha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu.
Right. The mountain of sinful activities, anyway, it will be, which is compared to a fog here, can be eradicated by Abhasa Rupa Sadhana Bhakti. Even in the budding stage, the devotees' sinful reactions are eradicated just by the Nihata Iva Bhaskara, just like the rising of the sun dissipates the fog. So the sinful activities are eradicated. But for you to purify the sinful propensities, so we have to carefully guard the Bhakti Lata under the guidance of devotees and allow the Bhakti Lata to grow. So that the sinful propensities, they don't show their face again. So only by devotional service can this be achieved. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. So any other devotees have any other doubts, or we can conclude the session for the day? Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Vanchakripatarindasya